Hi, Steffi.
Hi, Cami, and hi, ladies. Thanks for joining us. Cami and I decided to record this chat because we always chat about deep stuff and not so deep. But we wanted to record this chat specifically to tell you about a life changing strategy that both of us discovered together and started to apply to our lives. And that is the knowing of our instinctive nature and the knowing and the understanding and the applications of the women archetype and archetypes in our lives. So in this video, we want to share with you what's an archetype. Second, why it's important to Cami, to myself, and how have we applied it in our day-to-day lives and specific moments when it was kind of like life-changing. And the idea is that so that hopefully while hearing these examples, while hearing us talk about this, you can recognize some of these things and hopefully you can apply it as well. And stay till the end of the video because we have a super cool surprise that we worked so hard to launch, which we think it's going to be super helpful for you, and hopefully super helpful for your own knowledge and your self growth. So stay tuned, and it's all related to the archetypes and to understanding your intuitive self. So we're going to talk about what are archetypes. Two, why are important, why they are important to me and to Cami, and three, we're going to give you specific examples of how do we actually use them on a day-to-day basis. So Cami, over to you. What are archetypes for
Awesome.
you?
Thank you, Steph. And this is how we women learn, right? Chatting. And that's
Yes.
why we're recording this video. I like that. This is definitely what we do. We meet and chat, and that's how we process things. So, an archetype. An archetype, I always like to describe it as a button within us that triggers certain thoughts, emotions, reactions. And by understanding them and how they act, what are they, or the different ones that we can encounter throughout the phases of our lives, or the archetype that is more present in your life, that's our test about it gives you the superpower to control these buttons so they don't trigger themselves at any random point, giving you like a reaction that you don't even recognize in yourself, or that it doesn't take you where you want to go in life. So yeah, how I like to describe it, a button that gives you the
Amazing.
superpower to
So
control.
buttons without us that will apply. My son is into superheroes, so he's into like Catboy and Spider-Man. So it's like having these four archetypes, right? So the maiden, the mother, the sorcerer, and the crone. We all have it within us. And
Yeah.
every archetype has a light side and a shadow side. And it's pressing that button whenever we need, if we can create consciousness around them so that they can become our allies instead of our enemies, kind of thing. So
Right.
amazing. Now, why are they important? Why, I mean, you explain it how they work, but why are they important for you?
I think for me is that as women we are inherently cyclical beings, so our hormones, our bodies, our emotions, our perceptions of life are constantly ebbing and flowing, so they change, and there are a million authors that discover, so this is not something that we came up with.
Exactly.
We just created a test so you can discover it easily and fast, and have a little fun with it. But it will be just the door into an enormous amount of wisdom out there. So as cyclical beings, we have these personalities, a way to perceive life in different ways, which are the archetypes. um, so knowing which one is in charge in this moment of your life, it can give you this awareness of where you are, where you want to go, and which are the tools you can use to get there.
I
Uh,
love it.
the reason when we, and I think this is important, when we do not do this, when we do not have that awareness, it's like fighting against an invisible thing, an invisible being, and usually that being is expectations, right? We have the expectation to be this and that, and you're in a completely different phase. It's just that you don't know about it. So you start to use your energy to meet external expectations, like especially the society, right? For women, we are expected to be in a certain way, do certain things.
Act in a certain way.
Right. And that leads us to burnout, which is the main thing that we hear over and over nowadays with our members, with our students, with our friends and family, right? Burnout. And this is, I think, the main reason is because we're using the energy in the wrong place.
Amazing. So yes, if we haven't figured out, we have developed a test to discover your instinctive nature, and that is discover the archetype that is kind of like ruling this space where you are in your life. And so if you're listening to this video, you received either an email, you got us from Instagram or YouTube, there should be a link where you're seeing this video. That's the link to the test, so it can take you right away to discover which archetype, which personality, which superhero or heroine is kind of like ruling your lifestyle now. And for me, I think the center of my personal evolution is really self-knowledge, and just the archetypes. It's just another tool of understanding myself better now, and kind of like where I'm at, and understanding all of the other archetypes as well, to like Cami mentioned, what are some of the things that I can pull when I need them from each archetype. But most importantly, the archetypes could be generic, but I know what are some of the traits that really appeal to me. So we're going to give you, with this test, you're going to get a whole definition. We're going to give you examples how you can apply it on a day-to-day basis. There is a lot of things that are going to come with you once you take the test. We're going to give you a blend, herbal tea blend, a meditation. So stay tuned, keep an eye on your emails, and yeah, let's keep talking about this. So Cami, give me an example of a life-changing moment when you said, wow, this was super helpful for me to understand. This is my archetype, where am I right now? This is what's really my instinctive nature at this point. And how did you apply that, any changes in your life?
I think one of the major realizations that I have in regard of the archetypes is because they also relate by a phase of the moon, a phase of the year, right, a season of the year, and it relates to the cycles of menstruation. So if you do menstruate, maybe you do not have this awareness, and again, you're struggling in certain points of your menstrual cycle because you do not have that awareness. So as a graphic designer myself, and I work as a graphic designer for, I don't even know, I'm gonna just throw 20, 30 years. I realized that there were certain moments where I could not create anything. And that was devastating for me. Like my ego, like everything, apart from that moment, like struggling for a couple of days or a week, or even weeks. And then I just couldn't function. And then I realized by having all this awareness and wisdom, is that usually during the ovulation phase was the moment where I was more creative. So it was just about waiting to that moment. And maybe the other part of the month, it was just about gathering resources, getting inspired, going to museums, as an example, right? Reading books, and more like introspective, passive receiving. And then during the ovulation, I was like, boom, all there. And I was able to target all the things in my to-do list in that 1 week. And that stuck to me. Yeah. And so that was life-changing. I was not struggling. I was just confident. This is what it inspires, right? To be confident, to trust in yourself and your powers and your gifts, because it's there. It's just not the right moment.
Yes.
And how was it for you, Stef?
Yeah, and just to comment on that, not only it's not the right moment, but it's like then you don't feel like you're swimming against the water, you know. It's like you just wait for that.
Exactly.
And I can relate to that. When I started realizing the ovulation process and the cycle per se, I can relate to that. Like some days it will be harder to like get the motivation to go run. I love running, right? Or work out, and I'm like, why am I feeling so sluggish? And of course, having that understanding that correlates to kind of like the maiden phase, then I would wait until I'm in that beginning of the cycle, right after you get your period. That's when you get your energy back. The estrogen in English, estrogen starts rising, and with that your energy.
Exactly.
And so with that, I also got that as well. And just another example of how I use it on a day-to-day basis. And that for your creative side is more related to the mother's archetype. For my wanting to exercise more and have more stamina and more kind of like motivation and energy, it relates more to the mating archetype, right? And don't worry, you're gonna get all of this in videos, in PDFs, in information. So this is just kind of like little bits and dips here of examples, so that you can start thinking about how you're knowing your instinctive nature and your archetype can change how you think about life. My biggest moment was so let's just back up a little bit. So the maiden archetype is the one that I usually struggle with the most. For those of you who know about tarot in Spanish, I am the number 7 is the chariot, and that's my personality card. By the way, Cami is amazing at tarot and telling you your personality and your soul card, and that's just another tool that you can use as part of self-knowledge. But anyways, just to make the story short, so I know that I am a 7. I am a chariot. I am always go, 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 go. And that is related to the maiden energy, right? Like that youthful motivation, full of energy in the light side of the maiden. And for me, turning that off is so hard. It's the archetype that I kind of like, it takes me a while to realize that, okay. And what happened was that I burned out. I wanted to be a maiden all the time, all year, all through the month. And that doesn't, you just can't, right? Like it doesn't pan out the right way. So I got burned out. And after that dark night of the soul, as they call it, I now understand the phases, understand that maiden life doesn't have to govern my lifestyle all the time. And I strategically set up pauses, specifically that align with either my cycle or the moon, to pause, to really get time I can do more operational stuff, more to recharge, to rest, instead of like being going all the time. And that is like in my calendar, every month I have a time for that. And that has been life changing, because now I know that I don't have to be running around and going all the way like in a hamster wheel all the time. So that for me was kind of like life changing, and it has avoided kind of like the constant burnout. So hopefully these 2 examples gives you an idea of how you can, by knowing the archetype, how they correlate to your cycle, to the season of the year, you can start applying and organizing your life so that it syncs with nature and it flows with the current of life instead of going against it. Yeah. So stay tuned, and again, take the test. Discover your instinctive nature, take the test, understand which archetype is kind of ruling this time of your life, and know more about it. So take the test in the link below and let us know your experience. Reach out to us, comment on Instagram, send us an email. We're happy to hear from you. And again, we do this because we have this kind of like fire within us that cannot be stopped. We want to continue to share this feminine wisdom and continue to help you in your personal growth. With that, thank you.
Bye.